Okay, this video is going to take the structure of a response to Fresh Whole Milk, but not how a response video on my previous Sequester Zone channel would have gone, where I would just try to prove that person's wrong or attack that person's points. It's not the point of this new channel. A lot of people have asked what the point of the channel is, why I'm back, and in that way, this video will function as a kind of rebranding. And if you get this video, then you will perhaps be on board with what I'm doing. And if you don't understand this video, then you probably won't be. And if you're on the fence, you might want to stick around and see if you can figure it out. Now, in regards to Fresh Whole Milk, he had a falling out with Skag Cowboy, which was very public because it began on the Skag Cowboys video. Fresh Whole Milk made another video, and it continued in the comments of that video. Now, what their falling out was about was Skag Cowboy defended Jenny McDermott, and I thought his defense of Jenny McDermott was very good. It was one of the viewpoints I incorporated in my own video, Save Jenny McDermott, which had a bunch of different viewpoints just kind of played off each other for comedic purposes to make fun of how ridiculous YouTube drama is. And Fresh Whole Milk got very upset about it and then made a video taunting Skag Cowboy because Jenny McDermott and Bewildered Ape and I now appear to be on good terms while fighting each other for about 6 months now. So I put a comment on the video. I'm going to read it because I want it to be exact. You two should make up. Life is too short for this crap. You need to learn to be better people like BA, Jenny, and myself and put the past behind you. Now, I was being a smartass. It's pretty obvious I was being a smartass. But part of that I mean, because I've realized that on YouTube, and why I don't really have time for the social network of YouTube anymore, and forging friendships with people on YouTube, is in this little corner of YouTube, it's basically what somebody described to me as an interactive soap opera. And your friendship depends on what side of drama you're on. Now, in real life, this doesn't happen. In real life, I can have a friendship with somebody who I have totally different views with. An example that was in the news recently when Justice Scalia passed away, that he and Justice Ginsburg in the U.S. Supreme Court were very good friends, and that friendship was based on their mutual love for opera. They were able to have a friendship despite on the Supreme Court basically arguing against each other all the time based on that. And in real life, you have those. YouTube, you don't. That's why I don't have time for it. But the reason I'm responding to Fresh Whole Milk like this is if you have friends and you think they're your real friends online, then try to look beyond your ideological differences or being on the different side of drama and still be friends. It's what adults do. It's what people in the real world do. Well, the rest of this video may seem a little less straightforward. Fresh Whole Milk has now said that I threw JJ Talks under the bus in my video. Now, my video was not, in fact, serious. I don't know if he noticed that. But he tried to instigate a fight between myself and JJ Talks, who I talked to recently on Skype very briefly about the whole thing. She says she doesn't care about what I'm doing when I'm making videos. Just make the videos I want to make. And that's all we need to talk about it. So not only does Fresh Whole Milk have this fight with Sky Cowboy, but then he tries to instigate a fight between me and someone else based on something I really didn't say or whatever. And he doesn't really even know what the relationship JJ Talks and I have.
I'm gonna have to marry Sequester Zone because obviously I love his videos and I love his voice and his face.
He made a video previously about how JJ Talks is basically my puppet and I make her do everything, which if I had a YouTuber with over 20,000 subscribers who was just my puppet, I wouldn't even bother being myself on YouTube. Let's talk about this. A long time ago, over 6 months ago, I had this idea, and that idea was Jenny McDermott needed an adversary. I thought the anti-feminists on YouTube were inadequate adversaries for Jenny's satirical feminist, and she needed a real adversary. Now, Bewildered Ape was supposed to make a puppet for this adversary and animate the puppet, but I was going to write the scripts and edit the videos apart from him providing the puppet. And the person who was going to voice this character was JJ Talks. Now, JJ was very nervous about this because she thought that people would recognize her voice right away. Bewildered Ape reassured her that her voice could be altered. She could change the way she spoke, or we could slow her voice down. We could change the pitch of her voice. It would be only slightly different, but enough that people wouldn't immediately think it was her. But what I told her was, I would rather us not do any of that. If she wanted to do that for her own comfort, I would be willing to do it, but I'd rather she not. And the reason I'd rather she not do it is because I wanted people to think it was her. And I explained to her, if people think it's you right away, then it's better for this trick. Because if people think it's you right away, certain people will be certain it's you. Other people will be certain those people are paranoid and it's not you. Those people will argue with each other. Then you can deny being that person, both as yourself and as the other character. In fact, talk about how vile JJ Talks is as the other character and how you're offended anyone would think you're such a person. And JJ got it. She got why that was funny. I had some personal stuff in my life I had to take care of. I had already written a script for this fake anti-feminist that JJ Talks is supposed to voice, but I need to leave YouTube. And we still like the idea of JJ and Jenny being adversaries. But JJ and Jenny were like best friends. So how are we going to make this work? So we came with this idea. And this idea was that we would manufacture a feud between myself, JJ Talks, and Jenny McDermott and Bewildered Ape. And this feud would take place very publicly. We made sure it took place in a hangout that was about something totally different. We made sure it took place in a private group. On Facebook, we made sure it took place in videos. And that was an excuse for me to leave. And it was an excuse to have a feud with Jenny McDermott and JJ Talks. Now, I was not really as involved with anything that's going on. There's lots of things that Jenny and BA and JJ did while I was gone that I have nothing to do with. But one of the things I was involved with is the trolling of Dick Coughlin, where Jenny McDermott basically played good cop, JJ played bad cop, and I instigated in the middle to prove a point about Coughlin's behavior, where Jenny put together a narrative where she was like, I don't know if I was sexually harassed. And what you saw there was you saw feminists who normally are so, against this kind of thing, defending Dick Coughlin because he's a good feminist. So it doesn't matter that he creeps on women all the time online. It doesn't matter what he does. And then you saw anti-feminists on the other side with JJ Talks defending her making these accusations and saying she doesn't have to provide evidence. So it was funny. You had feminists both attacking and defending Coughlin. You had anti-feminists both attacking and defending JJ. And we proved that this is not an ideological difference. It's just tribalism through that. Now, nobody got it, but we proved that. It was a pretty good troll. Now, I also appeared on Blue Chat to badmouth Jenny McDermott, and I intentionally made things hyperbolic on that. Blue Chat, I was actually talking with Bewildered Ape about collaborating with him at the time, but he ended up doing kind of the same concept with Jenny in another video. But I appeared on Blue Chat. It was an excuse for Jenny to make her video, JJ Talks Shit and Gets Dominated, which is inspired by rapper diss tracks, which JJ herself loves.
Rap linguistically is just so full of not only rhymes, but plays on words and double, sometimes even triple entendres. And I just personally cannot comprehend how people don't think that's just really cool.
And the idea was, you can have a 2-hour shit-talking session about somebody online, draw penises on their faces, anything like that. People will defend that. You make a video where you're very artistically as well dissing somebody for 15 minutes, and the entire internet goes insane. That troll was probably not as effective, but I think things were learned from it. Now, immediately, there's going to be people who go, bullshit, you're lying, you're making this up. Let me ask you a question then. Why was Bewildered Ape and myself and Jenny insulting each other and attacking each other in the comment section of Jenny's video just days before I made my video defending her? And then we're buddies again. Why? Why just the day before Bewildered Ape calls me a liar? The day before. And I wrote that script I wrote the script about 3 days before I filmed it. And I filmed it about 2 days before I uploaded it. So this whole time we're insulting each other. I was already talking to them about this video. I showed it to them before I put it up, because the whole idea originally was to put it on Jenny's Pee Wee Burger channel, but that had been flagged and she couldn't post for 2 weeks, so BA mirrored it and I put it up on this new channel. Obviously we were working together the whole time. So why would you think that anything else we did where we were fighting is true? I'm just asking you that question. So then there's another obvious question. Why am I telling you this? Why am I telling you this now? And if I'm lying, why am I lying? It's interesting questions. If I am lying, I make myself look untrustworthy by telling you that I lied before. So I'm lying in order to make myself seem like a liar. If I'm telling the truth, I'm telling the truth in order to make myself seem like a liar. So why would I do that? Well, I'll tell you the reason I don't do that. Because I've tried dealing with people when it comes to just arguments about facts. It doesn't work. Right now, Jenny McDermott posted a video where her doctor called her on voicemail. Now, there's people in her comment section and on Kiwi Farms who are swearing up and down that the doctor's not allowed to do this, that it's illegal for them to do this. Now, I've pointed out to them over and over again, a doctor cannot leave your diagnosis on a voicemail without your permission. And one person even acknowledged that and said, yeah, but she would have had to sign a form. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, she would have had to have a pen and everything. Obviously she's lying. Everyone calls everyone else a liar on YouTube with no proof, evidence, nothing. What Jenny's troll right now is brilliant. It's a brilliant troll. It would be brilliant whether she's lying or telling the truth. It's still brilliant. Because it's showing what idiots and hypocrites everyone else on YouTube is. So I don't want you to trust me. I don't. Because I've dealt with that. There's someone else on YouTube whose name I won't mention. They're on a podcast. They were arguing with somebody. They decided to make a point that I had made in my videos. Now this person came back and owned them on that point because they could not explain the argument. They contacted me on Skype immediately afterwards and then asked me to re-clarify my argument. And I did for them. But the whole time I was thinking, why did you use an argument I used in a video without understanding that argument? Why would you do that? Why would you just take something I said and regurgitate it unquestioningly? And that's what people used to do. When I was in college, I took a documentary film class. The professor began the class by saying, I'm going to show you a short documentary. He showed us a short documentary that looked like a backstage documentary about people putting on a play. Now, about 10 minutes into this documentary, that just seemed like a regular documentary the whole time, we have a scene in a dressing room between a man and a woman. And they're talking about the play. However, this conversation veers off into her confessing about how she was sexually assaulted a few months ago and hadn't told anyone. Ended up being very emotional, made people very uncomfortable watching this. And once that scene was over, credits start rolling and the names of actors show up. So the professor turns the lights back on, comes up and goes, "Yeah, I lied to you. I lied to you. That's not a documentary. It is a fiction film made in the form of a documentary." Now, how did thinking that this was a documentary change how you viewed it while watching it? And the point he was making to begin that class is a lot of people think documentaries are nonfiction. It's one of the reasons I find it amusing when people get all on Michael Moore for his biases and being dishonest and stuff. It's like, that's every documentarian ever. They've all done that. They all have an agenda. They're all telling a story. They leave out the things that contradict what the point they're trying to make. They're just making the point they want to make. If you watch anything and take it at face value and just think this one person has the authority on that thing, then you are cheating yourself.